I'm back. I told you I'd be back doing this again. And you might notice I have a slightly different background here. There's a reason for that. Somebody said, "What's with all the blackness? You're in this like black box, and you're just it's dark and everything." And you're right. I should lighten things up a little bit. So I just threw this on behind me. It's actually a scarf that I got in Vietnam. Oh, there's my person from Paris. Hello, welcome. Yeah, I got this from Hanoi, Vietnam, which I absolutely loved. Not so much the scarf, but Hanoi, Vietnam. And I actually haggled over it. I was at a market, and the lady hardly spoke any English. I just thought it was hilarious that we were haggling back and forth, and I thought that was surprising because I thought that's what everybody does. And so she's laughing hysterically, and she's writing down the number of the price, and I'm saying, "No, no, no, it's, I'll pay you this much for it." Anyway, uh, finally got the scarf, and I'm thinking, "Oh, cool, I got this, really cool scarf from Vietnam that I can show people and say I got this from Vietnam." Until I got home and I looked at the tag on it and said "Made in China." So, well, I guess everything's made in China these days. Well, enrollment closes tomorrow for Life Mastery Gym. And I started out about 2 weeks ago being a little bit mysterious about this program and putting out a free webinar about the things that are wrong, typically wrong with NLP trainings and how to overcome them. And that is really essentially the problems I wanted to address with Life Mastery Gym, as well as putting the attention and the focus about why it is exactly you're learning NLP. When I first started learning NLP, and for a lot of people when they first start learning NLP, they're a little short-sighted about what it is they want to accomplish. There may be, well, and that's just it. I think I think I used that word. Uh, it's about accomplishment, or it's about solving problems. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with using NLP for either of those things. But if that's all you do with NLP, then you're missing out on so much. And what I had to get clear about was it had, I had to ask myself, is NLP just going to be a hobby, or is it going to be something that I teach for a living? Is it going to be a career? And so I did eventually switch into that about it being a career. And then I got to a point where it's like that, even that's not enough, because there's so much more that you can do. When the more you accomplish, the more you pursue what it is you want, the more you pursue your passions, the more potential you realize. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, it's really not so much about NLP anymore. It's about now I have this wonderful opportunity to really create the life that I want. And what I realized was that I had been on a journey of mastering my life for some time without really realizing that that's what I was doing. And so I would say make that your objective. How do you master your life? What does that look like? And not in comparison to anyone else. This is your journey. Don't waste your time comparing yourself to someone else, or wanting what they have, wanting to be like them, wanting to impress other people. It just it's not going to fulfill you, and then you'll realize just wasted a bunch of time and effort and money in doing that. And all that time and effort you could put back on yourself and mastering your life. And there is no end to that. I mean, the journey, as long as you're alive, you can be mastering your life. People might say, well, I can't do what I used to be able to do physically. Well, that's true, but that's physical mastery is not when you were at your best. Physical mastery is taking the physical that you have now, the physical body that you have now, and making the most of it. I got to a part in my journey with yoga after doing yoga for 10 years where I really started to get frustrated because I wasn't advancing anymore. And it was like my body was just saying, you can turn yourself into a pretzel in so many different ways. Finding new ways to turn yourself into a pretzel is not what this is about. And it was such a relief to me. This was after I started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I went to my first yoga teacher, who I feel like is my main yoga teacher and always will be, even though I don't practice with her regularly because she lives in New Orleans. I went to her and told her, I was like, I'm doing a lot more Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I'm not. I lost some flexibility, and I'm not able to do yoga the way that I used to be able to do. And she said, Damon, like, let go of it. Don't get attached to the asana, the postures. That's not what yoga is about. And it was such a huge relief to hear her say that. So we get attached to things, and we say things like, well, I used to be able to do this when I was younger. I used to be better than I am now. And that's just not helping you. So comparing yourself to others is a dead end, and it will bring you down. When you play that game, you will win it sometimes, but you will always end up losing it. Comparing yourself to your past self is about as much of a dead end as comparing yourself to other people. You got to take what you have now and master that. That's your new that's your new challenge. Master what's in front of you. Master what's here and now, and that could change tomorrow. It's more than likely going to change in a year. So this program is about mastering your life as you go and getting the most out of it, doing the things that really fulfill you and satisfy you. And you'll be surprised. This is a discovery process as well. This isn't just like, oh, I know what my goals are. I just need to get off my butt and stop watching so much TV and do something about it. A lot of times that's not it. Because if you're not already excited about it, then you're not very connected to it. If TV is more exciting, or if not doing it is more interesting to you, and that's why you're lacking motivation, that's probably not it. When you really tap into this and you're connected with your values, which then create your vision, you're eager every single day to be living it, to be doing it, and you don't have time to sit around and do nothing. You'll get tired sometimes, and you need to take a break and recuperate. And there are times you need to do something that's absolutely mindless because we have to have fun and relax and be playful. That In fact, it's a lot of those times when you're actually making progress and you don't realize it. When you go to the gym and you work out your muscles, that's not when your muscles are growing. That's just the stimulus. It's when you're resting, especially when you're sleeping, that your muscles actually grow. So you need both. But what I'm talking about is lacking the connection to your purpose, lacking the connection to what gives you meaning in your life, so that you find you'd rather indulge in distractions. That's what is keeping a lot of people back. And when you move beyond that and you say, okay, I really want to connect with my life, who I am, what's going on right now, and I want to improve it, and I want to live a better life. I want to live a life where I am excited to get out of bed every morning and go work on whatever it is I'm doing, or engage in whatever it is that I love doing. And that's the life that we all want to live, right? So that's what Life Mastery Gym is about. I have basically a process, a way of putting myself and others through this process using NLP. That's mainly what I use. I don't limit myself to NLP, but I find that to be the most effective. So that's what Life Mastery Gym is all about. You don't need a background in NLP to benefit from it. And if you already know NLP or have studied it or practiced it, it's going to take your NLP practice to the next level as well, because you're going to have a very distinct focus, which is what a lot of NLP practitioners are missing. Okay, usually I have comments and questions coming in, and I don't see any of those. So I'll probably just wrap this up pretty quickly. And I just wanted everybody to know that the enrollment does close tomorrow evening for Life Mastery Gym. The first open enrollment period was these past 2 weeks, and plenty of you signed up. So if you're watching this and you've already signed up, thank you. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. I will open the enrollment again next year. It will be more expensive. Mainly, the reason for that is because that's when we'll actually like really be advertising for this. We did very little advertisement for this. I wanted to see who were the core followers, core subscribers who wanted this program and were ready to get started in this program. And so that's the open enrollment is that you jump in on this early, you get lower pricing, and you lock that in for life. And you're going to get a video lesson every month to follow, and there'll be some homework. And you'll get a hypnotic induction to go with it so that you can get this on the unconscious level as well. And then about around mid month, we're going to do a live group coaching call where I will answer your questions, make sure that you understand the lesson, and make sure that, if you had any struggles or frustrations through it, that we make sure we figure it out and get you where you need to be. There's also a closed private Facebook group, which I will be moderating. So I will be answering your questions and you'll get the perspectives of your peers. And then also, you get 10% off of all online trainings that I have out there. You don't have to wait for an enrollment periods to get into those. And also, that includes the one-on-one coaching with me. If you want to do that, it'll be 10% off. And I just think for a moment, where you are in your life right now. You probably had high hopes and dreams and goals or things that you wanted to accomplish this year. And if you got those, that's awesome. That's excellent. Raise the bar for yourself. If you didn't, and you kind of find that you're pretty much in the same place where you were last year at this time, which is what I did for years, so I know what that's like, and it's frustrating. And you want to make a change. You're ready to what we call an NLP, have an intervention, and change things and do things differently because that's the only way it's going to change. You can't just keep doing the same thing every year and just hoping. I mean, you can do that, but don't expect it to change. Don't expect it to get better. You have to change. You have to do something different. And then if you're not worth, all right, I'll go ahead and say it here, the $39 a month. If you don't feel like you have, I don't want to say that you're not worth it because you definitely are. If you don't have the money to do that, get real honest with yourself about that. Because most of the time when people say that to me, I used to have to do this when I sold life insurance. People would say, "Well, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to meet with you. I don't have the money to buy life insurance." And then I had to explain what life insurance was really about. And of course, if you have a family, if you have people who depend on you financially, you better have something in place. So anyway, I would have to help them find the money and say like, okay, well, what do you spend money on? And it's and I have to do this with myself from time to time is check in on my budget and say, what am I really spending money on? And what is it that I really get lasting fulfillment from? Because, or, there's things that you have to spend money on, your rent, your bills, taxes, but how much of the money you're spending just kind of just goes nowhere. Like I mentioned coffee a lot of times. I love drinking coffee, but I mostly drink coffee from that I make myself. And it's not that to say that you shouldn't be spending any money on things that aren't long-term investments. You're going to do that too. You need to do that. But how much can you alter that or decrease that and increase putting money towards your own personal development and creating the life that you really desire and bettering yourself? To me, that's the most important thing. And people might say, well, I have a family and I could always put more money toward my kids doing something. And to a certain extent, that's very true too. I have kids, so I know. But the better you are, and especially if you have loved ones, the better off you are, the better person you become, the better you're going to be for them. And that is the absolute truth. This is not a self-indulgent pursuit. It's a be better for yourself, be better for the world, be better for others. I hope most everyone, if not everyone who joins this program includes that in their vision. This is not about just us, the individual. This is about how we can contribute value to other people. So you are definitely worth the time. It takes about an hour a week, but of course, if you put more into it, if you do 2 hours a week, then you accelerate um, how quickly this takes. And when I say how quickly this takes, I don't mean that you ever arrive, because you don't, but your life continues to get better and better as you master it, and you enjoy life more and more as you master it. But at the same time, the more you master it, the more you realize there's more potential to master it. So you just keep going, and it's absolutely amazing. You just test those boundaries and possibilities. What is possible in your life? And that's an amazing thing to explore. So you definitely are worth the time. If you're not investing time in yourself and your betterment, that means you're giving it away to someone else. And that's either, like if you're like you say, well, no, I'm just sitting around watching TV and eating Doritos. Well, you're giving your money, you're investing in Doritos, and you're investing whatever programming, your time and your money, you're investing in that programming. So is any of that coming back to you? Not really, unless you consider the calories from the Doritos that turns into fat and stays on your body. Then yeah, you get to hang on to that, but I don't think you want that. So think about what you're spending money on, what you're spending time and effort on. And even if you don't join Life Mastery Gym, even if you don't join any of my programs, I I want to believe that you're deciding right now that you're going to take a certain amount of money and allocate it every month to bettering yourself, and that you're going to take a certain amount of time every week, possibly even every day, and allocate it to bettering yourself. And you'd say, well, why do you even care if I'm not buying into your program? I care because I really believe that we would live in a much, much better world if people took the time to get to know themselves and then get to actualize their potential. Because I know from firsthand experience and from coaching people how fulfilling that is when you feel like you have a purpose and a meaning, and that you're fulfilling it, and that you feel satisfied with it. I We wouldn't have near them the problems that we have in the world today if we were actually all doing that. We all have differences of opinion. That's one thing. But if everyone is feeling good about life and happy and fulfilled, we can easily tolerate our differences. It wouldn't be a problem in the world today. So if you don't feel like you have the money, and you don't feel like you have the time to invest in yourself, and I'm not just talking about my program, like I said, that's just at all. Um, Drop me a comment right now, and we'll discuss it, because it's possible there are people. I'm gonna say it's possible. There are definitely people who, and especially in certain countries that are undeveloped, that could not afford this, both the time and the money, because they're probably working constantly. And yeah, it's not a great situation in other countries. I've been to other countries, and or certain countries where people pretty much work till they drop and make very little money. So those people, yes, they might, excuse me, might not be able to invest in themselves. However, if you're reasonably, um, if you make a reasonable amount of money, you have a job, you've got the basics covered, it's time to start investing in yourself so that you can take your life where you want it to go, and so that you can have more money, more resources. And if you don't, um, talk to me. Um, or if you don't want to talk about it online, well, it's still online, but send me an email. We can talk privately, because I do at times. I do coach people for free if I really feel like they have a genuine situation where they can't afford it and they need help. And by the way, I'm not a therapist, so if you have a clinical issue, it's illegal for me to to take care to work on that with you. So I can't do those. Okay, so I do have a few comments here. Let's see. How long does it take to master life planning? So I'm not sure how you're meaning it with specifically life planning, but it is an ongoing thing. The more you make things happen, and your life, the more you're going to grow and your life is going to change. So it's going to keep changing, and it's just a matter of the more you do it, the better you're going to get. But I would say, put it this way, if this is still kind of new to you, think about where you want to be at the end of 2019, and you can get there. You can definitely get there, and unless you haven't done a lot of self discovery, things can change. Things what you thought you wanted often changes. When you start pursuing it and you start achieving what you want, a lot of times what you want starts to change because you realize that once you start getting there, you realize it's not what you thought it was. That's not a bad thing. That's a wonderful thing. So then you can get more clear about what makes you happy and what fulfills you, and then you can pursue it even better. So I wouldn't think about it in terms of how long does it take to master life planning. I would think about it as more in terms of where do you want to be at the end of next year. So if you could drop into the end of next year and look back on the prior year, what do you want to see? I know for sure what I want to see is not me just working, 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 and especially not doing work that I don't enjoy, so that I can check off a bunch of boxes at the end of a year to say, "Yep, accomplish that, accomplish that, accomplish that." No, I want to see myself, and I do see myself enjoying my life, and then at the end of the year, going, "Wow, look at all the progress I made." It's not about checking boxes. So everything when you say planning, I really don't think that every bit of your life should be planned. I really don't think that everything in your life should be on a schedule and rigid goals, and that it has to go off this way. Set your intentions of like where do you want to end up at the end of the year, and a lot of times you'll end up exceeding them because you're not so focused on the number or the outcome as much. You're focused on trying the new things in your life to get you to where you want to go, trying the new things that you enjoy doing to get you to where you want to go. And this year was the first year I exceeded all those things, and it's one of the reasons why is because I set the goal, but I didn't fixate on it so much. I fixated on what am I doing right now to enjoy my life. That's also going to get me there too. So it's setting intentions, and it is setting a plan. It is setting a strategy. But the main thing to remember is if it's not feeling right inside, you need to make some adjustments. And don't just think, oh, this is part of the pain of getting what I want. It could be. Sometimes that happens, but it's probably something else. Okay, so I love your videos from Suki Smith. Thank you. I appreciate that. You've enrolled in a practitioner course and the master practitioner course. Once I completed it in April, I intend to join your life mastery program. Cool. Whenever you can join, you're certainly welcome. Just keep in mind, though, that it's going to be a little bit more expensive in April, and you can't lock that price in for life. What you can do now, though, is get the cheaper amount and then lock that in for life, just so you know. What motivates me to help people? What motivates me to help people? I'm going to give you a very similar answer that I got from my mentor, Steve Andreas, who passed away earlier this year. And I knew he was not going to be around for too much longer. So I went out to his place in Colorado, which his family received me generously and warmly and let me stay in their home, so that I could interview him. And I got two interviews from him. And I believe they're the last interviews he did before he passed. And one of them he did together with his wife, Connie Ray, who is also an amazing human being. And she's one of the NLP legends as well. And so yeah, they let me stay in their place. I got two really nice interviews out of it, as well as with their son, Mark, who's also a really great NLP teacher. And I asked him the same thing. I said, Steve, you helped me so much. It's so selflessly, so generously with your time and helping me. And I know I'm not the only one. And I said, where does that come from? Where does that motivation to help people come from? Just wanted to add a little suspense there. Um, and what he said was basically what I'm going to answer with your question here is that we just feel good when we do that, don't we? It feels good to help other people. It does. It's it's good for us and it's good for other people. So it's a win-win. Suspense. Um, and this is not something that's just some people. This is everybody pretty much. Well, I mean, if you're a psychopath, maybe not, but we are biologically hardwired to feel good when we help other people, and I'm sure that has something to do with the survival of our species. We're not, we can't do it alone. We need other people, and if we only help the people who help us, then we're limiting this thing. So we help people even when we don't see that we're going to get an instant return or that we will eventually get a return from that particular person. But we know that if we're in that state of helping others, that we welcome that from other people. And that's really, really important. The other piece to this, I would say, is be willing to be helped. It was a long time. I want to say a long time. There was a few period. It was a period of years where I didn't really let people help me, and that was a mistake. And you got to be open to receiving help and help others as well. Did it come to me naturally, or it was some HAHA moment? I'm not sure what you mean by AH. Oh, aha moment. Hang on a second. My son's playing a video game. Ronan,
What?
you need to go somewhere else with that. Um, I think the aha moment was maybe just realizing how much I get from helping people, but it wasn't that. I think I always, even since I was a kid. I mean, kids just naturally help others. It's amazing to watch. Like they don't really need a reason to do it. If you watch kids, like even really little kids, I remember the sweetest thing. Um, my daughter has always loved candy, and she's always been a little competitive. Well, I'm gonna say a little competitive. My daughter's very competitive, and her and her brother. Um, my son's not that competitive, and they're less than a year apart. And so I kind of thought that if I ever gave 2 pieces of candy to my daughter when she was little, when she was younger, not now, but and I said, "Give one to your brother." I assumed that she would probably eat the candy herself, so I wouldn't do that. Um, one time though, I just gave her a piece of candy, and she disappeared, and she came back and said, "I need another one." And I said, "I just gave you one. Why, I'm not gonna give you another one. You just had one. I don't want you to eat too much candy." And she said, "I gave it to Ronan." And I was so surprised by that, I actually had to go find my son to see if this was true. And sure enough, he was eating the piece of candy. It's, stuff like that as a father, it really warms your heart. But I never like consciously taught that to her. I never said, you need to share your candy with people and mainly with toys, I guess, if she had friends around, say, share your toys with your brother. But she took that on completely on her own. So I think it's natural for us. I think it's just natural that we do it. And I remember just being a kid and knowing that good feeling that you get when you help others. And then there's that feeling that we get sometimes where we want everything for ourselves. And if we go down that path long enough, we start to realize how empty and unfulfilling that is. But you do need stuff, you do need to put yourself first a lot of times too. So I think a good one of the things as adults that we need to figure out is that balance. How much do we give to others and how much do we need for ourselves? And I'm not here to tell anybody what that balance is. I think you have to find that out for yourself. And trust your gut and your heart on that one. And sometimes what we think we were doing what we're giving as help, maybe not helping somebody. It maybe doesn't, maybe it's enabling somebody. So we have to be very aware of what it is that we're doing and not just focused on our own feelings. All right, so Suki says, "Is money overrated?" I don't think so. Well, it depends. I mean, what do you? It depends on how you're rating it. I would say to some people, I see some people grossly overrate money, and I see some people underrate money. And I think I'm a lot about balance when it comes to these things. Not all things, but money, yes. I think. Let's see. I went on several trips this year, and there are some people of the mentality who would say, "Well, you should have stayed home and saved that money." No. I was more than happy to spend money on those experiences, and I will take the experiences that I had this past year with me forever. And I was just talking to somebody who I hadn't talked to since high school, and we connected over Facebook, and we were trying to we were catching up, and he's telling me about his life, and I'm telling him about my life, and I was just telling him only the things that had happened this year. I wasn't going back further than that. And he said, "Wow, it sounds like you could write a book on those things." And that wasn't the reason that I did these things. It wasn't to write a book or to impress anybody. It's just I wanted to do these things. And it took some money, but what I keep telling people is like, man, this is much closer to you than you think. First of all, it doesn't cost that much to travel these days. There are ways of finding inexpensive plane tickets. There's also traveling to uh, countries that their economies aren't as developed as the U.S. or maybe Western Europe, if that's where you're from or that's where you're living right now. So you can live cheaper there, or you can not say live. If you're just visiting, you can stay there much cheaper than your daily costs wherever you're living. For me, for sure, I live in California. I live in one of the most expensive towns in California. So when I go to, say, Vietnam, um, my daily expenses, I actually, and if you don't count the plane ticket, I actually save money. So money for me is a tool to do the things that I want to do. Also for some security, you want to have some money saved. So, but I'm not about flaunting toys. I'm not about, uh, like I have I, I, I say, if I say I have a nice car, then some people might be thinking I have like a, expensive sports car. I don't. I have a Hyundai Sonata hybrid, and I love my car. It's probably the best car I've ever bought, and I am so happy with that. I can't imagine spending several $1,000s more um, for a BMW or something like that. I'm happy with what I have, and I'd rather put that money somewhere else. The extra money. So I think it's just I think it's a matter of, does money own you or do you own your money? And are you taking that money and putting it where you want to put it and getting what you want out of it? Because I know a lot of people that when I look at them, the money owns them. And then you can be broke or you can be rich and the money can own you. And for a long time I was broke and the money was owning me. And so finally now I'm not broke and the money definitely does not own me. And so I think that's what you have to be careful about. So you're in the UK, and beyond the point of comfort, we are less motivated by money, and we certainly never discuss it. I find the US attitudes to money refreshing. That sounds pretty similar to the US. What are the attitudes in the US? I'm curious now. Well, I mean, what do you find as the attitude toward money in the US? Can't believe I've already been on for 33 minutes, almost 34. All right, if anybody has any questions, please throw them up now because I'm gonna have to get off the line here. The line, like I'm on a phone call. I'm gonna have to close this down so I can get to some other things I need to do. But that's interesting what you say about money. I'm not sure. To me, what you just said about money. Okay, more open appreciation of it. Do you mean like in buying things? And I've been to the UK. It's not cheap. Uh, yeah, it's a strange thing. Nobody likes to talk about money, even in this culture. Um, I don't know. I'm one of those people. I far. I value experiences far more than I do stuff. The only thing that really excites me about like stuff that I buy is like my microphone. I was really excited to get this microphone, and I was really excited about the cameras that I've gotten, my lighting equipment, and my drone, which I haven't flown in a very long time. But that kind of stuff excites me because I think about what I'm going to do with that, what I'm going to, the videos that I'm going to turn, what that I'm going to create using that. So if it's more about enhancing an experience for me, then I get excited. I bought a plane ticket to Budapest, Hungary, which I'll also be going to Romania, and I'm excited about that. So that's the kind of stuff that excites me. Um, I don't know. What excites you about money? I think, or what excites you, and then how can you use money to make that happen? Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, I've been on. Man, it's so funny how when I do this, how fast time goes by. Thank you, all of you, for tuning in. I will do this one more time tomorrow, and then after that, I'm not sure what my video schedule will be like. I've had a few people email me and say, "Can you do a regular live stream, and can you notify people or put out a notice ahead of time?" I might do something like that just because this has been really nice and people have tuned in and asked me questions and everything. Um, you will definitely get more of this if when you join Life Mastery Gym. Like I said, enrollment closes tomorrow. You will get regular uh, exclusive videos from me, and we will be in touch through group coaching on Zoom. So if you want more of this and you want a set plan to make 2019 your best year, or if not your best year, one of your best years, that's what Life Mastery Gym is about. And I hope to see most of you in the group. Take care, everybody. Thank you again.